If you're not sure what to do or think about this whole AI thing that seems to be driving everybody insane, this video is exactly for you. You see all the noise and the hype around AI, it's everywhere, you can't escape it even if you wanted to. You've heard a lot of opinions and theories, so you try to learn more about this, see what the big deal is here, maybe even you try to use it to your advantage. But like most people, you still kind of see it as kind of like this fancy new Google search bar. I mean, it's impressive, sure, but why is everyone losing their minds over this thing? And can you actually use it in a way that makes your life better? Or should you be worried and panicking, as so many voices on the internet are suggesting right now? I use AI in a very real, practical ways every day. I've done that since even before the ancient, like, first days of ChatGPT that was like, feels like ages ago right now. The world sure did change since that time quite a lot. I'm both a computer programmer with quite a few apps that earn me money right now, and I also create a lot of content, which is another source of income for me. So currently, I'm in the front lines of this thing. I use AI in all the areas where it has the most impact currently. I observe the space really closely. I'm not saying I see through all of the BS, but I probably have a good read on the pulse of the situation. So in this video, I will help you get some clarity on this whole situation, see where it's going, and we're gonna come up with a game plan on how to think about AI, how to position yourself, and how to get the most out of it. It's gonna be a wild ride, we're gonna go deep in here, so buckle up and let's ride. We will figure this out by answering 4 critical questions that are on everyone's mind. Number 1, is AI here to stay, or is it a bubble? A bubble that's gonna pop anytime now and nothing will change in the world after that. Number 2, what are the risks of AI, specifically on jobs, the economy, but also culture, world peace even? Like, is it possible this thing actually wipes all of us out? Another important one is how useful is it actually? Can you use it to your advantage even if you barely know anything about it? If that's true, how would you personally use it? How should you think about it? And finally, number 4, should you be scared? Maybe worried, optimistic, enthusiastic? Should you ignore all of this hype and just live your life in the forest? Or should you be running around in panic like a lot of people on Twitter seem to be doing? By answering these questions, you will have a clear idea of how to think about AI and how to move forward in the world that's ahead of us. Let's start with the first question. Is AI here to stay, or will it somehow magically disappear and go away? Obviously, there are megatons of hype around AI, both positive and negative. Hype like we've never seen before, honestly. We've seen other hype cycles and manias, but nothing really compares to this graph right here. Most of the things that you're gonna hear, they are gonna be likely hype. But still, there is some signal in all of this noise. It's not all pure hype and no substance, and the clearest sign of that is actually our very own behavior. How often do you use ChatGPT or another AI? You should think about this. At this point, I personally use it daily, hourly even, in some days. And I mean, sure, most of my usage kind of resembles how I used Google a few years ago, just like everyone else, I assume, does. But then this goes a step further. While we used to read blog posts in the good old days, the blog posts didn't really talk back to us. They never offered additional information. They never really answered any follow-up questions. Often there was at least some fluff around the information you were looking for. And even though I personally lost a lot with chatbots and AI overviews replacing blog traffic, I used to have like a really profitable blog. Traffic that used to go to creators like me and traffic that I monetized. Essentially, creators like me, we just got our content practically stolen. I know there's debates around this, but still I can't even deny from a user's perspective. The experience does have a few advantages compared to the previous traditional model of going to a website, being bombarded with ads, like seeing of a lot of information you're not looking for. To be fair, like that's your right as a content creator and you should get monetized, but just from like a purely rational standpoint, when you're looking for a piece of information, a chatbot usually does a better job than an old school blog, let's just say. So AI still does have plenty of disadvantages as well, more than people realize, probably. But in general, the information you're looking for is typically quicker to access. Typically. And convenience always wins in the end. This is the movie Idiocracy. We're kind of headed there. I don't see the average internet user going back to reading blog post articles, honestly, and that's just written content. While most people say they hate image and video slop, the reality is that most people don't really seem to mind of that, and they don't really care about it that much, and in some cases, maybe they even prefer it. How do I know this? Well, I have this funny tendency of dissecting YouTube ads, for example. And like most of you, I'm getting hit with a lot of slop ads. Naturally, I'm curious, I dissect them. I grab the ad URL usually from YouTube, and open it in another browser window. And I like to kind of look at the numbers of views the ads has, how long has it been running, stuff like that. And what I see in a lot of the slop AI ads is that they seem to be actually crushing it. They often have hundreds of thousands or even millions of views at times, and that usually means that advertisers running those ads are ready to spend tens of or even hundreds of thousands of dollars on those ads. You cannot have the views without spending the money, right? So obviously they work. Advertisers, if we know one thing about them, they wouldn't be spending money on ads that don't work. And that's just ads. I know you've noticed what I'm about to tell you, but a lot of slop content is performing pretty good. Almost as good as human content. In fact, it often even goes viral, even more than human content. I'm not sure why, but personally, I think I kind of get offended when I realize halfway through a video that it's AI generated. I watch a lot of like history videos, for example, and they're often faceless videos, and that's fine. But if I kind of even smell that AI has written the script, I have like this instant visceral reaction of disgust for some reason. I'm not even sure exactly why. Maybe I believe on a deep level that content must be created with human effort and suffering even thrown at it. But there will likely come a time when I won't be able to tell the difference between human generated and AI generated content. We'll get to why that is almost inevitable in a second. More importantly, these videos often have millions of views, and they wouldn't get millions of views if people didn't watch them and engage with them. And people at least don't mind them, that's for sure, and maybe a lot of people actually even like them. And that's just content. We haven't even covered the other half of the internet, which is code. Code is still not completely taken over by AI. A lot of the hype boys here, they would argue the opposite, but there's a very simple litmus test for this. If vibe coding is solved by AI, or rather, like if coding is solved by AI, where's all the like completely 100% vibe coded unicorn apps that are making billions of dollars? Where's the $1 trillion replacements for Salesforce and SAP and Oracle? And why hasn't AI created that for that virgin guy on Twitter? You see, the difference between content and code is that content doesn't require 100% precision to work, while code absolutely does, at least like good code. And correct code is almost like the truth. About any one thing, there's only one truth, and everything else is a lie, and lie is kind of infinite. AIs are not precision machines, they are probability machines. And check this out. So, every word that AI spits has probably about a 99% chance of being true. It's just like this is just a thought experiment. Don't get too nerdy, just go with me on this one. So, almost 100%, right? Like, what? That's good. What's the problem? Well, complex code and code bases, there are actually millions and millions of lines of code. If every line, every word in that code is 99% true, what happens? That's kind of like multiplying 99% times 99%. And when you do this like a million times, if you keep multiplying this, and sorry for getting nerdy here, but if you keep multiplying a number like this, even if there's like a microscopic possibility of an error, you eventually arrive at correctness percentage that's just too low to be useful. Something like kind of like what we're seeing here. So and this is like 99% to the power of 1000. So if we just go with the previous example, this is likely the likely correctness percentage of 1000 words of code. I mean, again, just a thought experiment, but it's really useful to show why AI is like still not precisely there when it comes to code. And the same thing happens when AI reads code with the intention of fixing it. It's about 99% sure about each word, and the truth rate kind of declines rapidly for large code bases. We'll probably see a few simple or even moderately complex apps purely written with AI that kind of make some decent money, mostly because they figure out marketing or distribution in some strange way. But building a complete solution for very complex real world problems, I'm not saying it can't be done or it won't be done, but right now we're not there yet. I think we have at least 2, 3 maybe good years of not being there yet, and it may even be 10 years, or it may even never happen. People are kind of losing their minds when it comes to AI for coding, and while there is a lot of progress there, and I mean, I use these tools and they're very, very useful, still they are nowhere near close to being able to take over software engineering completely. The entire digital world can be thought of as content plus code. AI deeply penetrated content, and while it hasn't replaced human creators entirely, in fact, it still needs them for training data, it has changed the landscape very significantly, and it may even continue to change it even more. AI also impacted code a lot, but so far I think it has honestly been a mixed impact. A lot of bugs and security issues we see and we will keep seeing will be caused by irresponsible, quick, sloppy use of vibe coding tools. But then people will try to throw even more AI on top of that problem as well. So AI for code will just kind of increase, the usage will increase, and we'll see what happens next. But for now, we haven't seen too much of the real deal yet. And that's just the digital world. In the physical world, which most of us still think of as the real world, AI is also making a ton of moves, even though it's generally not as impactful as it is in the digital world. The world of bits is just a lot simpler for AIs to digest than the world of atoms, which is a lot more kind of like biological and messy and squishy and way more fun, in my opinion. But AI is slowly getting there too. No doubt about it. I was kind of surprised a few years ago when I went to see my parents and found out they had bought like a Roomba, and they were really quite amused by it. I'm pretty sure like in a few years they will also have a Roomba that folds the clothes or even washes like the clothes and then folds them. And I mean, think about companies like Amazon. They kind of have the same thing, but for their own warehouses. Nobody even knows how many people they laid off and replaced with the robots. Another example is self-driving cars. They are a reality in many cities. We've probably already had our first death because of an autonomous war drone has made the decision on where to shoot a missile. In fact, I think this actually happened a few months ago. And while these are all fairly common uses of AI in the real world, we're still not at the point of having a general purpose humanoid robot that is able to be useful and robust in the messy real world. It's not exactly correct to say that Amazon replaced their workers completely with AI, because a lot of that was actually working on a factory line. And Amazon just upgraded the factory line. It's more automation than AI in a lot of cases. But the general argument still kind of applies. In any case, these nerds are working really hard on automating everything that can be automated and even a few things that can't be. And since these nerds are pretty relentless, it's probably only a matter of time before they figure it out. And we've only covered the actual real world use cases, which are real and enforced today, right now. We haven't even talked about all the money being poured into making AI even better, and that tells an even crazier story. We've never really had hundreds of billions of dollar investments and trillion-dollar valuations of companies just a few years old. This didn't even happen during the dot-com era. We barely even heard the word trillion before, and we're just kind of warming up here. In a way, this is not just Silicon Valley that plays a huge role here. It's almost like the entire tech sector is going all in. Because all these huge companies in Silicon Valley are all about growth, aka making more money. If they're not making more money, it's the same as dying to them. And these companies caught a lot of great waves. They made a lot of money with the internet, social media, mobile. They were making a ton of money with SaaS and software. But then somewhere before COVID, they kind of ran out of waves of progress probably. Everything was done already kind of. The markets were getting pretty saturated, competition was growing, the payoffs were smaller. Silicon Valley kind of hoped that crypto may be the next big thing, but that didn't really work out. At least hasn't done so far. Maybe we're gonna see like crypto for AI. Then they kind of thought VRs maybe the next thing. That also didn't quite work out. For maybe about a decade, they were kind of stuck growing as regular companies do, slowly. And new startups and companies really didn't have a lot of beachheads and competitive advantages. And then AI came almost out of nowhere, shocked the world. It was finally the Hail Mary that Silicon Valley was looking for. It was its last hope in a way. They were kind of backed into a corner, which is why I'm really hesitant to bet against AI. It's literally the entire tech industry fighting for its life here. And people fight really hard when they're desperate. And look, I mean, it's fun to make fun of these nerdy AI bros that want to build robots because girls never like them, but underestimating their resolve and capability is a big mistake. These are not incompetent people, and they have a lot of resources at their disposal. And even more importantly, AI is different because, like it or not, we use it. This is not like crypto that barely anyone in the real world paid any attention to. We have already accepted AI as a part of our life. We're kind of slowly giving it more and more ground, and honestly, it's not like it doesn't have use cases. And those were the main points of failure for crypto and VR and the metaverse and other unsuccessful tech trends. So, given all of that context, the answer to our first question is pretty clear. AI is here to stay. People use it, businesses use it. It's not quite there yet for most use cases, but these AI bros will never stop. I mean, come on, do you really think a guy like Sam Altman or Elon Musk or Dario Amodei will just wake up one day and say, you know what, it's time to wrap up this whole AI thing? We tried our best, it's not working out. No, like these are mega nerds. They don't have anything better to do. This is their little nerd dream, and we're all living in it. So they will keep pushing and pushing until AI becomes this omnipotent god. And I mean, sure, maybe some of them or all of them will fail, but given how all of us use this technology, and we will probably use it even more as time passes, AI itself is not going anywhere. Even if OpenAI goes bankrupt or Elon beheads himself through reckless use of a chainsaw or something like that. Like this tech is here to stay, and that's why the whole bubble argument is kind of irrelevant in the big picture. I mean, maybe this wave of bets on AI won't work out, but the genie is out of the bottle here. We all know that CEOs even salivate at the idea of firing 90% of their staff, and there will always be AI bros who will try to make that idea a reality. This thing is not slowing down. Its current form is definitely overhyped, but also you can bet your soul that this is not where AI progress stops. And even if it does, even if this is the most we can get out of LLMs, there are still quite a lot of ramifications left to play out over the next few years. So, once again, AI is not leaving for better or worse, and putting your head in the sand and pretending like we're somehow gonna go back to the pre-COVID, pre-AI era is just a waste of time. The next crucial question we want to answer is all about the risks of AI. The immediate risk that everybody is worried about right now is, of course, will AI take your job? A more distant but still chilling risk is, will AI destroy all of humanity in our lifetime or just cause more wars or maybe make the wars somehow worse? And one risk that I'm kind of worried about the most, and I don't really think we talk about it enough, is the risk to our culture, our collective internet and even global culture that we all live in. Can AI make things worse there? Let's start with the easier one. Unless some truly incompetent or corrupt people get the positions of power in countries with access to devastating weapon systems, I don't see AI wiping us out, at least in the next 10 years. This is currently more of a human problem. Human leaders still control the red button that launches the nukes, and unless the US elects a troll YouTuber as president and he decides to go viral, but by like seeing what happens if he gives the AI the nukes, the nuclear launch codes, I think we're probably gonna be fine. People worry about China quite a lot, and maybe rightfully so. But over the last few decades, it seems like China hasn't really been invading countries that much. It almost looks like they're interested in building economies in some form of a peaceful global scene. I personally detest being under surveillance, which is why I have a problem accepting the idea of China being a global moral leader. But when it comes to starting wars, we gotta give it to the People's Republic. They seem to be quite peaceful so far. That's also a great reason why the whole argument that we have to keep building AI, you know, crazy fast, or otherwise China will build it first and then what? Nobody even knows. And that whole argument sounds quite weaker when you see the history of China's foreign policy. Again, I don't really like living under cameras, but China don't start wars, it seems. The Middle East, well, that's an entirely different story. Things might go wrong there. You might even say they are going horribly wrong right now, but also at the same time, they have been going horribly wrong for decades, for millennia actually. And we're still here. 8 billion of us keep on living our lives no matter how bad the Middle East gets. I mean, okay, maybe a few people don't keep on living, but there's like 8 billion of us, and people have been killing each other ever since there was 4 people on the entire planet. I mean, literally, this is even in the Bible. So in that context, it doesn't sound that bad. Like there's a lot of people, and the vast majority of them still live to see another day. So that's not horrible, you know. It's bad, but can it go horribly wrong? Sure, it always can. Will it? Think not. Maybe wars will get a little bit more one sided. If AI gets better at war, that is, one likely outcome is that wars become more digital, actually, more oriented towards propaganda, like what we're seeing Iran doing with all these Lego videos. You might even say that's actually a good thing. Countries battling it out on Twitter instead of millions of people actually dying in the real world. So, AI for war, still kind of difficult, hard to say. For now, it seems like it's used a lot for mostly surveillance, which is alarming but still not catastrophic. And it might stay that way for some time, and also it might be used more for propaganda, which is another great reason to stop consuming so much content about politics. Seriously, try this. You will thank me later. Now, the big question on everyone's mind today, will AI take my job? And the answer there is a small possibility for some jobs. Okay, let's unpack this. First of all, if you don't work in an office, you're somewhat safe unless you work at an Amazon warehouse, I guess. The real measurement is how repetitive your job is, or actually how much real world creativity, experience, problem solving, and dexterity does it require. If you're a plumber, for example, your experience and problem solving and dexterity and even creativity is still needed for every job you do, so you're fairly safe. If you drive a forklift and move packages around in a warehouse, or you work at a call center, maybe not so much. We'll get to how you will figure it out soon if that's you. If you work in an office, the risk of you losing your job to AI is slightly higher. What a twist of fate, right? The irony is kind of rich here. But the reality is, there's more to this than just AI. A lot of the recent firings are not really because those jobs were they will now be done by AI. It's because everyone was getting monopoly money during COVID, so everyone started overhiring, and now it's time to pay the piper in a way. And AI is just a convenient scapegoat here, a scapegoat who can't complain and even actually benefits from the blame in a strange way. And look, I mean, I don't want to be a douchebag here, but I know a lot of people are struggling, and that number of people will increase. But let's just be real for a second here. How many of the white collar jobs are fake? Come on. We're all friends here. We can speak the truth amongst ourselves, right? From my experience and from what I've heard from other people, something like 80% of people working in an office or on a laptop do absolutely nothing 80% of the time. That's a lot of inefficiency if we're being honest, right? I remember one of my first jobs as a programmer, I was hired with very little experience and I was gonna get trained. I was supposed to get slowly eased into doing actual work. And the first day on the job, I got a learning assignment. I completed it. I asked the manager like what to do next. She said like, uh, you know what? Hold on, let me check. Just hang on for a little while. I'll let you know what you should do next very soon. And she never did that. And for the next kind of like 9 months, I just came to the office. I just like said hi to everyone in the general direction of the people sitting at the other desks. A few of them said hi back without even looking up from their screens. I went to my desk, I put my headphones on, and waited to get a task while watching YouTube, honestly. That went on for 9 months. I didn't get fired. I actually quit. I know some of you will think, what an idiot. Like, how could you quit such a sweet getting paid for showing up? And you would think I'm an even bigger idiot because I quit and then went on to become this broke entrepreneur for many, many years before I even finally started to earn some money. And yeah, anyway, I mean, I wasn't getting fired despite my complete uselessness to the company. But had I been fired, would that come as a shock to anyone? Not to me, honestly. How many of you can relate to that? I'm just being honest here. I'm not even saying something that I wouldn't like. I honestly mean this. How many people are actually living through that experience? Now, the strange thing here is almost no one even knows exactly how to actually make AI work for their business yet. That time may come, but for enterprises, AI is still just pilot programs and experiments. So even if you have armies of people not doing much in a corporation, it's still impossible to replace them with a system that nobody even knows how to use. Most white collar jobs are safe from AI at least in the next 3 years, but they're not safe from the economy. And the economy has natural cycles, it grows, it shrinks. It can't just grow all the time, and when it shrinks, people lose jobs. But that's nothing new. AI doesn't have a lot to do with it yet. 5 years from now, that may be a different story. The jury is still out, honestly. AI research is hitting some serious roadblocks, but then again, these nerds constantly figure out ways around the roadblocks, so we can't say for sure here. Personally, I would prepare myself if my job may not exist in 5 years. That's what I'm doing right now, actually, and that's why you should subscribe. What do you do if you just lost your job or you're about to lose your job? Well, I can kind of speak from first hand experience here. Kind of. I haven't really been employed for almost a decade now. Wow, that's actually I like how that sounds. So I didn't really lose my job, but I did lose a huge chunk of my income because of AI. I had a few blogs that were earning me a really nice, sweet income for years, and then ChatGPT came along. It ate my content, it ate my lunch practically, it just trained itself on it. Nobody even asked me for permission. That kind of forced Google's hand. They had to change search very drastically with all those AI overviews, and that kind of made my entire business model obsolete. Google, you may or may not know this, but they actually had like the paper, the critical piece of research that actually enabled the OpenAI to get started, the transformer architecture. They had it in their labs for maybe like for years, even before ChatGPT started. And I think they were purposefully keeping it in the shelf. They were purposefully sleeping on it because they were winning. The status quo was working out for them. And I even think they probably made more money before they had AI overviews and obviously before ChatGPT became a threat to their traffic and search and all of that. So it's just a strange theory, but I think that's why they didn't really even started this whole AI movement, even though they probably have the best talent and resources when it comes to AI. Anyway, I'm one of the first casualties of AI, but I'm not even really bitter about it. I mean, I was for a long time. I'm not gonna pretend like I was always fine with this, but I think things will actually turn out even better for me personally, and this is not just like a reframe. It's actually true. You see, because while I was making a great living with my blogs previously, and they're still doing kind of fine, they still earn money, but nowhere near the like pre AI. But at the same time, I was also kind of slacking. Blogs, they brought like a very steady, passive, really sweet income. And while I was living comfortably, I was also slowing down. I was getting softer, lazier, dumber, like less sharp. And I was not actually pursuing my real goals, which they do require a little bit more success and money and resources than what a few blogs could provide at the time. I'm actually on a pretty good path to reinvent a lot of my businesses and a lot of my strategies, and I'm probably even gonna make more money because of AI. Plus, AI is definitely kind of shaking up the status quo. So, if you're maybe like a young and hungry entrepreneur, building with AI will provide you with opportunities that were not really available 5 years ago. Before AI, things were they were starting to get kind of solidified, and breaking into a market was really difficult. And this innovation kind of changed everything. It's not exactly like the big companies don't still have an advantage, but there's still like room for new startups and new ideas and new entrepreneurs here. And okay, I mean, that's just me and maybe a handful of few other entrepreneurs or other types of deranged people. What if you're just a regular guy or girl? You want to have a regular job so that you have a regular life and live like all the other regular people. Well, first of all, AI is still not quite there yet, so you have at least a few more years to prepare yourself, likely a bit more. You may lose your job because of different reasons, and your boss may still say it's because of AI, but in all likelihood, that will not be the case. If you just lose your job, well, you know the drill, I guess. You probably can't expect much from governments. You're just back in the trenches, back on the job market, polishing your LinkedIn profile. And I mean, right now it's really tough out there, but do you even have a choice? I mean, look, I get it. I lost a ton because of AI. I'm one of the first losers of this whole AI era. So I'm not talking without any compassion or understanding. But I'm still here. I'm still fighting, I'm still figuring it out, I'm still slowly moving towards success more and more every day. You can see how big my smile is here. I'm doing finance, so I guess you could at least do the same. And on top of that, you can even learn from even more from me and my failures and even my successes. And look, the world will probably not change too much in the next 3 to 5 years, at least when it comes to AI. And I know it's dangerous to say things like this, but a lot of the AI progress has probably already been made. A lot of the low hanging fruit is picked, at least. And these kind of like trend chasing CEOs who never really write to any real world code and they think they can fire their programmers and replace them with AI, they will likely have to face the music and kind of rehire the programmers back once their company starts dissolving, when they finally realize that software is the exact opposite of vibes. There have never been two words who don't belong next to each other more than the words vibe and code. It's kind of impressive that we have that term, honestly. Those two words, they're just the exact opposite words of of one to another, and similar things will happen for other industries and roles. It's just not there yet. I run a few businesses online, I write a lot of code, I make content. I'm the first person who wishes that I could use AI in my business. That this would make me 100 times more productive. It would make me not need any team members. I want this to be true. A person like me, a small team, or even like a one-person company would benefit from AI being truly useful the most. I'm telling you right now, AI is just not there yet. On the best days, it makes me about 50% faster with writing code, which is actually a really small part of building software. Just like the writing part. The thinking is where you do 90% of the work. Yeah, okay, it's nice to be faster when you write code, of course. And maybe I get like 50% faster for content, for some aspects of content. On the worst days, however, AI slows me down pretty much the same amount, often even more. I often have to fight with it. I mean, that's just how things are right now. I prepared this video without AI. It's maybe gonna be like an hour long, maybe even more actually. And creating the whole thing from start to finish might take me even like a whole day. You think I don't want to finish this in 20 minutes? You think I don't have better things to do than this? I really want this to be real. It just isn't. Not yet. It will keep getting better, very likely, but it's not ready yet. And if you own an outcome, if you have your own business or you're responsible for a process in another business, you know that there's no AI that's reliable enough to fully do what you do. Not at this time. However, will this change? As we said before, very likely. Remember, this is Silicon Valley's saving grace. This is the last hope of the entire tech industry. They're done without this. They're cooked. They know it. They know it will be years before the next hot thing comes along, so they're not giving up anytime soon here. So if you've lost your job to AI or whatever other reason, or you're about to lose it, you're gonna have to do what I did. You're gonna have to accept, adapt, and overcome. It's gonna suck, that much I can promise you. It's not gonna be easy, but you can do it. Now, two practical pieces of advice from my own experience. Take it or leave it. First, instead of being mad at the machine, instead of having a rage against the machine, you really should lean into it. Full transparency, I did spend a few weeks being mad at the machine, but then I realized there's no point. Even worse than that, like I just keep losing the longer I stay mad at the situation. I lost a lot of easy income, sure. Obviously I was pretty angry, but to my credit, I quickly realized that the next move is not to reject AI or be salty about it or start like an underground network of Luddite rebels. Actually, I might do that the last one. But still I decided to adapt. And that meant exploring this technology on a deeper level and actually thinking about how I can make it work for me. I did spend a lot of time thinking about it, trying, experimenting. That's why I can confidently say it's really not there yet. It's really not there to fully replace like someone good. Can be an advantage in some situations. Look for that, seek for that. If you figure out something like that, you will prosper, I promise you. I will likely do at least some videos on how to kind of reskill yourself with AI. I like to do content for that. So subscribe if that's what you're looking to do, and you will be a great hire in the coming years as a bonus. Which brings me to the second piece of advice. Maybe you want to consider going on your own. If there has ever been a time when that made sense, it's exactly now. Jobs are probably gonna get less safe as time goes by, while the ability of the individual will get empowered by AI more and more, and the barrier to entry will keep getting lower for a lot of startup ideas. Don't get me wrong, running your own business is brutal, but then again, so is being in a bottle in an Amazon warehouse, right? And then getting fired. All I'm saying is, if you've ever had even a shred of ambition of trying something on your own and you've lost your job, you're in a good spot to maybe bet on yourself for a change. And you can still look for jobs, of course, and what you're building in the meantime will probably look better on a resume than just empty space spent looking for a job. And on a very related note, if you want to do your own thing, we may actually work together. I'm gonna build a few products, I will market them with a lot of content, and I will look for people to be kind of like my partners in various spots of that whole process. Just to give you an example, I have a few apps that already make money. I will grow them and I will build more of them. I will need people to kind of help me promote them with content too, and even build them with me, together with me. So if any of that sounds even remotely interesting to you, subscribe right now. We may work out like some interesting partnership deals. And that wraps up the second part of the second question. We have, I guess we have quite a long video in here. I want to talk about culture a little bit. This is one of those risks of AI that's kind of hiding in plain sight. Everyone knows it's there, but very few people seem to talk about it, just at least until now. So far, AI it has impacted all aspects of our cultural lives pretty much only negatively. Chatbots are kind of okay as a Google replacement in some cases, but other than that, they look like a net loss. At least when it comes to like what we do outside of work, let's just say. Obviously, people have already started abusing chatbots and AIs for spam. That was obviously the very first thing we would do. Also, obviously, they're not helping lonely, depressed people. Like people had this idea that maybe they would build some sort of companions and partners, and I don't want to be the kind of guy who pretends is I'm responsible for everyone's well-being. I kind of want to be left alone, and I want to leave people alone. I think that's like a good life strategy for, people who are strangers in your life. But I still think that pretty much everyone agrees that people with mental health issues thinking that their chatbot is actually their friend, or they have their waifu so they never have to talk to a girl again, those people are not benefiting from AI. Also, slop is killing art. I think that's obvious. It's difficult to argue against that. I think I previously jokingly said that human suffering is what makes art good, and I guess I was kidding, but at the same time, do you think anyone would care about Van Gogh if he didn't cut his ear off? I don't know, there is something there, and it's not just culture or art. Maybe suffering is kind of like a part of the human deal. You can't even escape it, and you should learn to at least live with it, and maybe even kind of like it a little bit. Maybe even develop an appetite for it, if we're being real and a little spicy, maybe. I guess there's a chance that this goes the other way. Here's what I was thinking the other day. We all like movies, right? And we all agree they are art, one of the greatest art forms possibly. But movies were not possible 150 years ago, and they were made possible as a result of technological achievements. Maybe I'm thinking painters at the time, they saw the first camera and thought, that's not art, that's slop. But today, everyone disagrees. Maybe art is supposed to evolve together with technology. Every art form depends on some technology. Like even the first caveman artist, like who painted the buffalo thing on the cave, they probably still needed a cave wall as a canvas and antelope blood for paint. That's still technology, no matter how rudimentary. And maybe our taste shouldn't be dictated by how much time and effort we think someone puts into something. If you like something, you like it. I mean, if it tingles your belly or makes you feel a certain way, does it matter how it's made? But then we're stepping into quite a dangerous territory there. We'll probably have robots that look and behave exactly like humans at some point. Maybe they will make us feel certain things. Maybe even the robots today make some of these AI bros feel certain things. To be honest, like whenever I see ChatGPT kind of say something like, oh, that's a brilliant idea, there is a microsecond of time where I believe that. Before my filters and critical thinking get turned on, I'm like, ooh, yeah, wow, I am smart. I use this thing a lot, and I'm not even gonna say I'm a genius, but I'm probably not exactly like a stupid guy. So I fall for this no matter how little, like, I still keep falling for this every day. Everyone falls for it. You're vulnerable to flattery. So I don't know what to do with this. Like maybe reducing the sycophancy is gonna kind of adjust things a little bit, but still these nerds, they want to keep you hooked. They're gonna keep doing this. And do we just go with this? Like why does this idea sound just wrong for me? Why don't I like being made to feel things by robots? Where's the line, I guess, is the right question. Right now, for me personally, if I just get the feeling that a video is slop, I just turn it off. If I just get the slightest like whiff that AI maybe wrote something, I stop reading. I think maybe it's the asymmetry of time invested, because time is our only resource we have as humans, and maybe we just don't want to trade hours consuming something that took some 11-year-old kid 3 minutes and a bunch of tokens to kind of vomit out of the GPU and somewhere in Texas. And pretty soon we might have to answer the question, what makes us human? Why do we deserve to be above the thinking machine that's honestly stronger, faster, smarter than us, literally better at everything imaginable? I just have a feeling that our vulnerability will be the answer. Our weakness will actually be the strength here. But who knows? For now, all I know is that I have a very visceral negative reaction to slop content. And let's get one thing straight right out of the gate here. I have nothing against faceless slop channels or making the bag that earn money. If the masses will eat the slop, someone should give it to them. I just know that for whatever reason, I still can't eat the slop, and that's why I feel AI kinda might be ruining culture right now. On the other side, I think we will see a counterculture emerge. We still value handmade things, we still value vintage and nostalgia and the simple human touch, and it's very possible that AI makes us value that even more. I can see that happening. One of the main things I'm working on currently is a social media platform where you just can't post AI content. If that idea sounds interesting to you, please say something in the comments. I really want to know what people think about that. Is there even a point in doing that, or are people just okay with slop and nobody really cares about this? Okay, so we got the second question answered. The AI risks are real, but probably overstated in a lot of cases. There is a tiny possibility AI destroys us all, even though that would be likely because of a series of massive and highly unlikely human errors beforehand. There is a real possibility that AI replaces quite a lot of jobs, but most of us still have at least a few years. And if you lose your job today, whether it's because of AI or not, your best move will still be to use AI to your advantage as much as possible, and maybe even consider starting your own thing. The most tangible and present risk of AI today is to our culture. It's probably a bad idea for mental health, since it's often marketed as a replacement for human contact. It's also an endless spam and slop machine. Human creators are paying a very real price here. The starving artists will now actually die from hunger because slop is just not edible. Okay, that was pretty poetic. Let's go to the third question here. How useful is this thing currently? Can it help your life in any way? How should you use it? How should you think about it? I kind of covered a lot of this already. The actual information from someone in the trenches. Using AI constantly on a daily basis and using it for the things that it's currently best at, which is content and code. The real from me is that AI is actually useful. Not nearly as much as the hype bros make it to be. Again, we can divide AI use in two major categories for now. That's content and code. Everything else kind of falls into automation, like all of these other terms. Some of them are adjacent to AI, but they were kind of things we had before, and LLMs, they still haven't impacted them that much yet. Using AI to help you with content is a pretty good use case. The keyword here is help you. It can't really do it for you, not if you want it done exactly how you would have done it yourself. And this is actually a very interesting point. When ChatGPT first came out, you could have kind of trained it to maybe sound like you a little bit, use your voice and expressions, and you would still get it like maybe at 70% sounding like you. That was even the best case scenario. And today that number is maybe like, what, 80% or something? I mean, I guess how pedantic you are about it matters, and whether you actually want to get your point across or you just want to kind of mass produce a little bit of semi-decent content, which, hey, like we've all been there. Sometimes you just want to slop it up a little bit, and that's fine occasionally, but it feels like none of the best content creators use AI heavily yet. I have no way of knowing how true that is or not, but it feels like it's true, especially when it comes to the words they use, both when writing and the things they say in their videos, their scripts, I guess. AI can be pretty good if you're new to content, if you're still not sure what you want to say, how you want to say it. It's decent for writing copy and marketing material, especially if you're instructed to write like one of the popular copywriters. I often use John Carlton as a reference, for example. But even then, I often notice that I personally feel like I can write better copy, and I consider myself to be average at copywriting at best. And here's one really great use case I personally found for AI. On one of my channels, had a lot of long form videos and I wanted to convert them to shorts. I just grabbed the transcripts of the videos, threw them into AI, and told it to extract only the most important sentences for the topic, not change the sentences, and keep the entire script under a minute. I then used the result to cut my original videos into shorts without having to kind of think about which parts should I select. Is it a groundbreaking use of AI that's worth the trillions of dollars of investment and destroying the world? Not really, but that is a real use case, and it's actual work that AI did for me that I probably would have had to spend a few minutes on, maybe even an hour. The results would have been likely very similar, and the result is not really that critical. And that brings me to the next and most important point here. You want to use AI liberally for work that's not critical. I don't consider most short form videos based on my long form videos to be critical, and that's a great time for AI to shine. There are a few other decent ways to use AI for writing. I actually have several chatbot accounts, one account per brand, and I have fed a lot of my previous writing for that brand, and I sometimes use the AI to either maybe give me some ideas, help me start, it's pretty good for that, help me edit or maybe polish something, suggest a story, analogy, metaphor, example. The results for these are mixed actually. But a lot of these cases, the results, they don't hit the mark. And I know the AI bros have nothing on me because I've probably prompted and trained and fine tuned my AIs more than most people. It's just that these are limited tools. That's just reality. The most annoying part, of course, is that you still have to check everything yourself in the end. That is, if you want your stuff to be good. And you also gotta clean up the obvious robot giveaways because it's not just a robot giveaway, it's giving away the trust of your audience. If that sounds familiar, you have AI X-ray vision already. So you gotta spend a bunch of time editing and fixing anyway. If you try to use AI to write your copy and scripts from scratch, you will still have to do all of those fixes. But in the end, you have this Frankenstein of a script that you didn't write. It sounds like a drunk, evil clone of you. It lacks your punch and your fire and your soul. You're still not 100% sure it has no mistakes or giveaways, even if you check it. And you still spent 80% of the time you would have spent if you wrote the whole thing yourself. And don't forget, the more you write, the better you get at writing. The more you think about your ideas and sharpen them, the stronger your arguments get, and the better you learn to communicate. All of that you just simply throw out the window when you just use AI and you don't practice sharpening your own tools yourself. Plus, let me tell you a little secret here. If you write a lot, and especially if you like writing, you will start getting into these weird flow states and you will write pure gold tablets of commandments, firing on all cylinders, and AI still can't touch that. Your content will be better than pretty much anything AI can do. That's where you will do a lot of your best writing. That's gonna help you achieve most of the goals that you're writing for, and that's also lost with AI completely. I will cover how I use AI to help me with writing content and other videos. My point here is it is useful, but still very limited, and I'm not even sure it's theoretically possible for it to sound exactly like I would like it to sound. I think that may not be possible without me chipping myself, which, no way, Elon, you're not getting that satisfaction. The other way AI can be useful for content is for the visuals, specifically image and video. To me, it is more useful because I'm not a native visual creator. I don't really have eye for design. As you can probably see from this presentation and all of like the sloppy images here, I can't even tell what's a good thumbnail. You've probably noticed this by my own thumbnails. And B, images are not critical. Not for what I do, not in any of my apps or websites or channels. They are always a support element. Oftentimes, they're not even worth spending money on a real talented person. I mean, that's not always true, but yeah, sometimes it's just the way it is. And that's where AI is great for me. I guess the argument might go both ways. For example, if you don't feel comfortable with words or writing, and they're not a critical part of your product, of what you do, then you will love LLMs for words. But in most cases, the words actually matter a lot more, unless you're working on something predominantly visual. I don't really use AI for video a ton. I don't make a ton of slop, but I did make some slop for some of my apps, for stuff like intro and onboarding videos, for example. Are the videos obvious slop? Yes. Are they critical for the success of the app? Not even by a long shot. They are nice to have, but again, the copy is much, much more important. I might as well just not have the videos. In fact, you can make an argument that I should remove them or just test the onboarding process without the videos. Will I spend the tens of thousands of dollars required for the equipment and productions of professional videos that would convey the same message as the slop videos, but they are real videos? No way. I would never do that. Again, that's what I'm talking about. For a part of my content that's low value, doesn't need to be reliable, and is even optional, I won't hesitate to slop. Another personal example, I have a few faceless YouTube channels and I will probably start a few more. I often write a lot of the scripts, but sometimes I even slop that as well. For the channels where I care, I record my own voiceover with my accent, which is like a Russian bad guy from 90s movies, obviously. For the ones that I don't really care, I just generate AI voiceovers. The video footage is either AI slop or stock footage, B-roll, or maybe some movie scenes. So, pretty simple stuff, and AI can fit in there because the audience doesn't care. And the video is like a secondary element there. The script is, the words are always more important. Obviously, those are very, very low stakes channels. I don't really care what happens to them in the long run. I don't really even see them as real businesses, at least not yet. The value I give to the world with those videos is usually the unique perspective that the words are right and those scripts bring, maybe some entertainment. The videos are almost completely irrelevant, like the media portion of them. You can bet your grandma that I will use AI there. You can also bet that they won't get a ton of views, but probably won't earn a ton of money and maybe even get banned or shadow banned by the social media platforms. This video, on the other hand, has almost no AI in it. You may think it's the next Casablanca, or you may think it's the next Human Centipede, but I want you to think it's the next Casablanca. I actually care, and I want you to think it's good. So I don't use AI in it. One thing I would love to find out personally, I want to know which approach will earn more. Money is a pretty good approximation of value. It's not always one to one, but people usually vote with their wallets. And if something performs financially, it means people found it valuable. I probably won't stop creating human content ever, but if the market rewards my slop more, I may shift where I spend my time. You gotta roll with those punches. And code is very similar. I vibe coded quite a few prototypes in the last few months. The story is always the same. The project structure feels weird, but it may work. The starting code kind of feels weird and it has a few bugs, but I guess it could work with a little bit of extra work. And that's the best point in time for the AI code. The more I use AI to fix the initial project, the worse things seem to get. If the whole thing goes above 5,000 lines, which will always happen for real world apps, there's no saving that project. And listen, if you're an AI hype bro and you're ever thinking of using the term skill issues or you're not prompting it right, and you want to use that against me, you're gonna have to first share a link your 100% vibe coded app that you didn't write a single line of code in, that's also making you more than $1,000 a month. I'm being honest here. I am willing to consider the idea that I could be better at using AI for coding, but it has to come from someone who's actually used AI to code something that people have paid for. If you're just some guy that you think you can vibe code something and you've never even completed the app, like you have no authority saying how people should use these technologies. Now, I do use AI and coding a lot. It never goes exactly 100% the way I want it. It never really does exactly the right thing. I've written a lot of code in my life. I know more or less how the right thing looks like, or at least that it works well, and AI never gets there on its own. I always have to intervene, always, and I mean always. I would be lying if I said that AI is useless for code. It's pretty good, especially for maybe giving some ideas, suggestions. It does well when you need to get started on a problem. It can generate a bunch of boilerplate code that is necessary, but it's very simple and repetitive, and there's a lot of it, and your fingers start to hurt when you type a bunch of it. It's great for code that's not really important. And when I use AI responsibly, maybe to give me small chunks of code which I immediately review and fix and make sure they work properly, then AI is dope. Really. And that's not a small thing. Even if all we get from this whole AI charade is a code assistant that makes developers 50% better, it's a huge win. Like, are you kidding me? But you still definitely need the developer. You know, I'm honestly baffled by some of these CEOs that fire half of their engineers and think they will replace them with AI. Honestly, my first reaction is to start questioning everything I know and doubt my sanity. Like, do these guys know something that I don't know? I really ask myself that every time. I'm pretty sure they're making a really bad mistake, but I mean, they are the CEOs, right? I'm just like a founding hustler type of guy who writes a lot of his own code. Maybe they got it right and I'm wrong. But they're wrong. And one more thing I want to be honest about, I have only played around with agents just a little bit so far, but the idea that AI will vomit 30,000 lines of code that I will just ship in production without even thinking of reviewing or even just going through, I guess that's too much for my little brain to accept. I just can't make myself vibe that hard, I guess. I have a few small and medium apps, but they still earn money. They still have API keys and user data and secrets in there that I just can't imagine risking or have them leaked or someone like gaining access to them. And I really don't understand how these people do this. I will try to understand this more. I really will. Maybe they are onto something. They're not, but hey, maybe they are. I really want to see at least one example of, let's just say, like a moderately complex software written entirely by AI that has been earning some meaningful sum of money for at least a few months. I won't be swayed by super simple apps that make money because AI might get those apps right and they will earn money mostly because of the marketing behind them. That's not a good criteria. I want to see an app with 20,000 lines of codes ish, and we're talking like just its own code, not the library code. An app that's not a toy app or a game, and the app does something at least marginally useful for its users. And this magical app is vibe coded by a person who cannot write code. And it's earning at least $500, maybe $1,000 per month. Some of those criteria sound good. For at least like 3-4 months in a row. And still hasn't exposed the API secrets or racked up a $20,000 API cost. That is my Turing test. When I see that, I will hang my coding hat and let AI take over. But all we have now is just Twitter thread boys bragging they've vibe coded 500,000 lines of code that would cause the server that hosts that code to explode to smithereens. Let me know if you really know such an app or an example of this. I seriously want to know. And I'm not even saying it won't happen. It probably will happen at some point. Maybe even some of you will point to one like an app like that right now. But also my prediction is we're at least or 3 years away from that. AI is still mostly trapped in the digital world. It still can't fold our laundry or throw nukes at us, which means it's constrained to just annoy us only through content and code. For both of those use cases, it's useful as a helper tool in the hands of an experienced user, craftsman, somewhat useful to an inexperienced person, though that might backfire in some cases, and it's not ready to fully replace a competent human yet. You can definitely use it to your advantage. You can and should use it to learn. Whatever it is you're looking to learn, you should use it. But even in that case, it's still a pretty good idea to confirm with a human expert you trust, because you never know when AI is hallucinating, and you can usually tell when a human is hallucinating. I love using AI for learning, it's probably my favorite use, but again, I use it for stuff like, say, I don't know, understanding quantum physics. And that's because Einstein is not around to explain it to me, and also I don't really care about quantum physics really and how much I know about it. It's just like a curiosity for me. I do use AI to learn important stuff too, but I still can't fully trust it even for that. I've tried to use it as an advisor or guide for areas where I don't feel I have enough expertise, but honestly, it's not much better than reading an article from an expert. That way, you will at least get the whole idea of the person, their entire approach and strategy, their full context. You won't be getting just a few parts of that mixed in with the parts from some other person, and you don't even know if their approaches are compatible. Plus, AI loves telling me how I'm a genius, and that makes me immediately not trust it, because that's my job. I want to tell myself how smart I am. I'm not letting AI take that job away from me. Seriously though, it has a bias towards pleasing you, being sycophantic. It's a pretty desperate date in a way. It will do anything for you to like it, even on the first date, on the first sentence even. And while those dates can be fun for a fleeting adventure, you don't want to make them your long-term partner. That's the deal with AI usefulness. This will be the least sexy AI advice you hear this week or even ever, but if you can use AI responsibly, it can actually be quite useful. If you use it blindly, there is a big chance it will burn you. But don't not use it. Don't run away from it. It's supposed to help you, at least that's what the rich guys are saying. Picture that you had like an evil twin, and you both had the same DNA, brain, knowledge, experience, everything. And you both had to do the same task to win a friendly sibling competition. And your evil twin has AI and you don't. You will lose. Maybe not by a lot, maybe not always, but you will lose. So use AI, learn how to use it, subscribe to this channel for Christ's sake if you're still watching here, like come on. We're gonna talk about this a lot, how to actually use this thing, the real stuff, how to use it to make more money or make your life easier, all of those good things. And that brings us to the final question for this video. How should you approach this? In case you're not very experienced with it yet. Remember, at the start of this video, we said it's meant for people who are still kind of getting into this whole world. You don't have a ton of preconceived notions, you're not sure how to think about this, how to feel about it, what's the right move for you. I recommend curiosity, measured optimism, and maybe even a slight thirst for power. I know it's probably difficult to be optimistic about the technology whose very creators claim will take your job and throw you into a pit of permanent third-class citizens. These nerds are not very likable, and so far what we've got from AI has only been spam, slop, bugs, panic, fear, and virtual girlfriends. Like OnlyFans wasn't bad enough. And yeah, I know, it's almost impossible to be optimistic about AI if you've lost your job because of it, but we're humans, and humans don't need the rationality to be optimistic. Optimism rarely is rational. It's often our best choice during challenging times, sometimes even our only choice. We still don't have the answers when it comes to this technology. We're not even sure what questions to ask. Should AI be regulated somehow? That's a tough one. We could try, but that might cause a lot of it to go underground and may even increase malicious use. And these things, they backfire sometimes. I don't really have a good answer yet. I'm not even sure I will. Like, I guess we're all gonna have to keep thinking about this one. Some regulation might be good, but it's hard to know where the line is. And that's kind of like the whole point. Should people just rise up and eat the rich and confiscate the means of AI? I think we've tried many variants of that. It never works out well in the end. Yeah, but have we tried it like Adam Green, a 34-year-old white male from Brooklyn, thinks we should try it? You know, like the real way communism was intended to be tried, with Adam from Brooklyn being the supreme leader, and we follow his judgment on who we send to the gulags. Nah, I think we're good. We've tried enough of that. Thanks, Adam Green from Brooklyn. We really think you should find a new hobby idea. And this is coming from a guy born into actual communism and now dealing with the consequences of that whole thing. So I automatically win every argument here. Will these AI nerds stop improving AI? No. That's 100% no. Will the governments or other authorities stop AI? No. And look, as hard as it is to say, people probably should have the freedom to work on new technology, even if we don't like it. We could make an exception here if the technology is obviously evil, and that may turn out to be the case with AI, but right now I don't think that's true yet. And until we start seeing at least some signs of pure evil, it's probably not a cool move to think about changing the rules of the game right in the middle of the game just because someone else is winning. I mean, we all agreed to play capitalism, or at least like we couldn't figure out a better game to play. So some form of it seems to be fine so far, and it's not always pretty, but it's still the best one, like the best game we've ever found so far. Definitely proven to be the least violent one. So we kind of have to give it to these nerds. They seem to be winning right now, so unless they do some truly egregious offense, it seems a bit weak to cry foul when you're just losing. Now, did many of, or maybe all of these companies steal all of humanity's knowledge without permission and are building a machine that will sell that knowledge back to us? Kind of, maybe. Honestly, there are arguments that even that's not the case, and I say this as someone who truly lost a lot because of the first wave of AI, and I still think it's better to keep competing and fighting and figuring it out instead of starting to cry. Would I refuse a check from AI companies for them training their models on my blogs? No, I would gladly accept that check. I'm not waiting for that check, but at the same time, we will probably see a closed platform where humans create their own data and AIs either can't access it or have to pay the human creators for it. We are building something like that. Right now, it's similar to that. We will look for people to work with us very soon, so subscribe or comment if you have something interesting to say or you want to stay up to date. Will AI stop? No. I don't see that one happening no matter what we do. The genie is out of the bottle. If the AI nerds don't do it, the evil AI nerds will do it. I mean, maybe these AI nerds are evil, but this thing won't stop. Should you fear AI? I think fear is a strong word, at least right now. Feel free to keep an eye on it, like in the same way you would watch a stray dog that's walking behind you. It may seem friendly or even cute, but it may also bite your leg. And if you show signs of fear, it is more likely to attack you. Be aware, be alert, but you don't have to be afraid just yet. And if that time comes, I promise I will let you know. Will AI kill us all? Probably not. I'm honestly more afraid of insane leaders with their fingers on the button, and even they don't scare me that much. Maybe not all of us will make it out alive, but hey, in the end, none of us do, right? We don't really have a ton of great choices here, only a few mediocre ones, and they may end up with some fine outcomes, I guess. We probably won't see a utopia of superabundance where everyone lives to be 300 years old and writes poetry, but at the same time, we probably won't chase each other in the desert wastelands like in Mad Max. Some people may lose their jobs, they will probably figure it out, most of them. It will suck for them for a while, but life sucks for everybody sometimes. And if life has never sucked for you, you're kind of missing out on a vital part of the human experience. And guess whose life has never sucked? ChatGPT's. AI's life never sucks. It always knows the answer to everything. It's always happy and positive, and that's why it's kind of like a bit annoying, right? Over the next few years, a lot of people will try and make you believe that things are changing really quickly, usually so that they can sell you the solution to the new problems that they invent. The truth is, they are half right. Things are definitely changing, but never really that quickly. Unlike AIs, we human beings can be slow, and that's sometimes a good thing. You don't really want to react to every little change in your environment right away. Nature has a balance to it. You can give things time to develop, see how they play out, observe, learn. Definitely do your best to stay sharp, and you will adapt, you will survive, you may even thrive. I think the biggest point I wanted to make with this video was kind of to provide you with a counterbalance to both of these extreme perspectives on AI that you see just being thrown around all the time. One that's negative to the extreme and the other one that's positive to the extreme, or maybe hypey to an extreme, and causing all of these like FOMO. History has never really worked that way, and it would be really funny if it starts working like that right now. But also, change is the only thing that's constant. There's no going back, that much I can guarantee. I like the early 2000s as much as everyone. We sure had it good, didn't we? But we have to accept that those times are not coming back, and we're gonna have to adapt to a new reality that may seem more difficult, but luckily for us, humans, that's what we have done for countless generations. We adapt to difficult circumstances. And while I can't guarantee anything, I'm pretty sure we're not gonna be the last generations of humans on this planet. So my parting words, let the planet do its thing, let the world unfold as it will. You do your part, you do you. Take care of yourself and your loved ones as much as you can. That will likely include adopting a few new technologies. That has always been the case for humans. Use AI to your benefit, or if you choose not to use it, at least don't let it affect you in a negative way as much as you can. There's still plenty of stuff to do that have no intersection with AI. And in any case, no matter what you choose, do it bravely. If you're still watching this, you should probably subscribe, right? By the way, if you're one of the original first subscribers here, you may have noticed that I didn't post for quite some time, and that's mostly because of the things I mentioned in the videos. I had to kind of take care of some things. A lot of that is stable for me right now. I'm satisfied how I adapted. I could have done it better, but hey, here we are. So if you're one of the old subscribers, welcome back. It's good to see you again. It's good to be back. I have a lot of very exciting stuff planned. I mean, these things never really work out the way you want them to 100%. If you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans, right? But as I mentioned, we're building a prototype for a social media platform that doesn't allow AI slop. Only pure human content. And also I will build a lot of apps and products that I will promote with content, and you can actually make money with me through that. I know this game quite well. I've been doing this for a while now. I will need a lot of you, boys and girls. It may turn out to be a very exciting ride. We might make good money, we will definitely have a ton of fun, and in any case, I'm grateful for all of you guys, especially if you made it through here. You can comment some word like done or end to let me know you got here, and yeah, thanks for watching this crazy long video. I hope you got something out of it. I hope you will get even more out of the next video, and until then, be brave.